not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
Tell us the story behind the name Keeper of the Holocron.
Well, uh, as uh, as you mentioned, I have a database called the Holocron, and so when I was first hired uh, by Lucas, I worked in the licensing department, and they asked us to we the job opening was for a continuity database, and so to track all the Star Wars lore that we were developing at the time, and this was in 2000 when Wizards of the Coast, a company called Wizards of the Coast, got the license for the RPG. And they wanted to have a repository for all of Star Wars lore that was being created at the time. The prequels were coming out, but there was games, there was books, and there hadn't been a database to track the lore for all that material at that time. So prior to that, a lot of there was just a lot of Word documents and physical binders that you would have to find this information. And so I was hired to put all that information into a database. And then, my first week there, I'm building the database, and it was the director of publishing, Lucy Wilson, who said, "Okay, you're building this database. What are you going to name it?" And I was like, "Wait, I get to name the database?" And instantly, it's like, okay, it's got to be the Holocron. And for people that are immersed in Star Wars lore, the Holocron is actually it's a cube shaped item used by, we all know this, Star Wars fans all know this, but yes. For if you're one of the few that don't know this, watching this podcast, it's a database used by the Jedi as a repository of Star Wars lore. And so, this was the obvious choice for what to name the database. Now, in 2000, the only people that knew about holocrons were people that read the comics and read the books. It hadn't really extended into publishing. Now you see them in animated content. You see props. The thought that you could actually go to Disneyland and buy a holocron in 2000 was like the wildest thing. It's been really cool to see how expansive the world of just holocrons has grown. And so I'd mentioned Wizards of the Coast. They were the first. That was the first group to put me in credit that in a book in their first RPG that they released with Keeper of the Holocron in it. Sort of just stuck. Keeper of the Holocron had been a term that was created in the comics that went along with the device itself, and so the idea was that it would project an image of the famed Jedi, and they were known as the Keeper of the Holocron. That was the individual Jedi had their own holocron, and it was their image that came up and gave knowledge to people that were seeking that had opened it, and to share all the lore of the Jedi. So, long story, very short. I got that name in 2000, and it's just stuck, and it's because of the database that I built.